Alright. I just got the ET8 running a bit outside. So that was nice. And now, let me see if I got this in good shot here. Okay. So, the ET6 here. Remember, I tried changing the governor spring, and it didn't. The one I had was a teeny bit bigger, and I thought I'd checked it so it fit up inside there, up inside the tube here, but it did not fit properly. So I put the old governor spring back in, so it's back at that spring level, and it should be fine. But the other thing that you can do to get a little slower running is when I got this engine, there was quite a bit of play. Well, there is quite a bit of play in this linkage here and on this here. So between here and this detent, there was a lot of play in the linkage and space, so that the governor had to run quite a bit faster to lift up and interfere. So I decided I will try to get some of this spacing in here out, so that when this lifts, it interferes on the ring more quickly. And to do that, I am putting a shim right here. That shim is a piece of plastic from a clamshell, just a piece of clamshell packaging. And I'm putting the shim in here to reduce the space between the detent bar here and the ring on the exhaust valve, so that it will hopefully catch and hold a bit more. So, of course, this bolt in the head is the pivot point, so you can't torque it down on the head gasket. You have to tighten it there we go. Just enough that, oh, there it bound. There we go. Tighten it just enough so it holds this piece over as far as it'll go, but also obviously it needs to be allowed to run. So I was checking to see that I still had the tiniest bit of play up here. Yeah, and I can gently lift this before it touches the exhaust valve, so that's enough play there. But, and I don't know if this is going to be easy to see, but when I took this apart, there was a gap in here between the bar and the ring, and with this washer installed now, that gap is basically gone. So when I hold this up, but when the governor springs, it should engage at a slower speed, because the ball only has to go out that much now, and before it had to swing quite a bit further to get up under there. So with luck, on Saturday when we try this out, this engine will run a little bit slower, even though it has the stock governor spring. So yeah. The other thing, and I don't know if I've mentioned this, but a lot of other channels have issues with their ignition system's overheating, and I have never had that issue using 3 batteries in mine. They never seem to cut out. They seem to be just fine. But I also am using batteries that were mostly used up, so I use batteries that have already been through my camera, so that they are lower voltage than if they were new, because you know, a good alkaline battery when it's new reads 1.5, 1.6 volts, but I'm using batteries that are effectively dead for all other uses, so they're only bringing in 1.2 or 1.3 volts a piece, and I think that's probably why I haven't been having any issues with my ignition systems. And the other, let's see, things that people have had issues with that needed correcting that I haven't had to correct are all just down to manufacturing things that, you know, when you get these engines, you need to fine-tune them a bit, because the manufacturing price point for these is not particularly high, so they're not going to do a ton of quality control and precision checks for the price they're at, and that's, you know, perfectly acceptable to me, and they've been very good. So hopefully on Saturday when we get this out, we will find out if it runs a little bit slower. Yeah.